Chapter 4, Mexican California. Chapter 4, Lesson 1, Mexico wins independence. Vocabulary in this section: republic, constitution, import, export. Build on what you know. Think about a time when you saw something you thought was unfair. Many people in New Spain felt that their government was not fair to them, and they decided to change it. Fighting for freedom. Main idea. People in New Spain fought to change the way they were governed. In the early 1800s, Alta California was part of New Spain, a Spanish colony. The King of Spain governed the colony, but he lived far away. A viceroy, or governor, ruled New Spain for the king. Many people in New Spain were unhappy with Spanish rule. Unjust laws gave most of the power to rich people from Spain. People born in New Spain, especially American Indians, had fewer legal rights and little money. They wanted more rights and more power. Some wanted to be free from Spain. The chart below shows the population of New Spain in 1800. You'll see that the majority that is shaded in red was American Indian, the purple represents the Spanish, and the blue represents the partly Indian and partly Spanish peoples. New Spain. In the early 1800s, most people in New Spain were American Indians. The Cry of Dolores. By 1810, a priest named Miguel Hidalgo y Costilla rang the church bells in Dolores, a town in what is now Mexico. As people gathered, he asked them to start a revolt against the government. People called Hidalgo's speech the Cry of Dolores. Thousands chose to follow him. They wanted to change New Spain's government. Hidalgo gathered an army of about 50,000 people. Spanish soldiers defeated his army, but Hidalgo's Cry of Dolores grew into a war for freedom from Spain. Today, the war is known as the Mexican War for Independence. Independence is freedom from rule by another country. Hidalgo was killed, but many others led the war against Spain, including Jose Maria Morelos and Vicente Guerrero. The fighting was fierce. The soldiers who fought for Spain had better weapons and training, but the people who revolted were determined to win. After 11 years of war, the Spanish gave up control of New Spain. Although Alta California was part of New Spain, no battles took place there. Mountains and deserts cut the region off from the rest of New Spain. The government of Spain paid little attention to Alta California. People there did not hear much about the war. Review. Why did some people in New Spain want independence from Spain? Dolores Hidalgo. Today, the town of Dolores is called Dolores Hidalgo after Miguel Hidalgo, who is shown at the right. Republic of Mexico, page 120. Mexico's government changed after it won independence from Spain. The people of New Spain won independence in 1821. They called their nation Mexico. News of the victory did not reach Alta California until months later. In 1822, a group of Mexican leaders arrived at Monterrey's Presidio. As Californians watched, the flag of Spain came down. Up went a green, white, and red flag with an eagle in the center. Alta California was declared part of the Free Nation of Mexico. The new nation needed a new government. At first, Mexico had a government that was similar to Spain's. An emperor would rule. An emperor is a ruler of a group of lands or nations. The Mexican Constitution. A former officer named Agustin de Iturbide became emperor. Iturbide had fought for Spain, but changed sides in 1821. His leadership helped Mexico win its freedom. He did not rule Mexico for long, though. Many Mexicans found his rule too harsh. After less than a year, they forced him to leave his job. Mexico's leaders met to create a new government. Instead of a single ruler, they wanted a republic. A republic is a government in which citizens elect lawmakers. In 1824, Mexico's leaders wrote a constitution. A constitution is a written plan for a government. The people who wrote the new Mexican Constitution used the Constitution of the United States as a model. The Constitution created a Congress to be elected by voters. A Congress is a group of people who make laws. The Republic also had an elected president and a system of courts similar to that of the United States. During the war, Spain had given up Florida to the United States. When Mexico won the war, it took control of all of Spain's land in North America. Review. Why did Mexicans create a new government in 1824? The picture at the left shows the flag of Mexico. The flag of Mexico flew over Monterrey for the first time in 1822. If you look at the two maps at the right, on the right-hand side on page 121, you'll see the map of New Spain in 1810. The yellow represents the Spanish territory. The green represents the U.S. territory. The purple is the disputed territory, or what they were fighting over. And then the picture below shows Mexico in 1824. And you'll see the yellow represents the Spanish territory, but it's really small. The green represents the United States territory. The orange is that whole area that's now Mexico. And the purple is still the disputed territory. Reading maps skill. Describe how borders in North America changed between 1810 and 1824. Trade in California, page 122. Main idea. Californios traded with people from Russia and the United States. Before the Mexican War for Independence, Spain did not allow Californios to buy goods from people in other countries. Californios were people from Spanish families who lived in Alta California. Californios had to buy goods from the Spanish government in New Spain. During the war, Spain could no longer send supplies to Alta California. It needed all its resources to fight the war. Russian and American traders had wanted to trade with California. This was their chance. In 1812, a Russian company built a new trading post near Bodega Bay, north of San Francisco. Russian traders at Fort Ross. The Russian post in Alta California became known as Fort Ross. It was a base for sea and otter hunters. Alaskans who worked for the Russians hunted otters for their valuable fur. Californios in the San Francisco area bought goods from Fort Ross. The goods they wanted were items they could not make, such as tools. In return, they traded wheat, salt, and other foods to the Russians. Ships from the eastern United States also came to Alta California to trade. The traders, known as Yankees, sailed across the coast, stopping at ports. Californios bought imports such as cloth and lace from them. An import is a good bought from a business in another country. Fort Ross. People at Fort Ross, which is shown in the photograph below, did more than hunt for seals and sea otters. They also had a blacksmith shop, carpenters, and fruit orchards. The hide and tallow trade. Californios sold exports to the traders from the United States. An export is a good sold to a business in another country. The main exports of Alta California were cowhides and tallow, or fat. Hides were used to make shoes and other leather goods. Tallow was used to make candles. Trade in these goods became a source of wealth in Alta California. Review. In what way did trade in Alta California change during the Mexican War for Independence? Lesson summary. Unjust laws and few legal rights led the people of New Spain to revolt. Mexico won independence from Spain in 1821. The people of Mexico created a government that was a republic. Californios traded hides and tallow during the war. Why it matters. The Mexican War for Independence led to freedom for Mexico, which included Alta California. Yankee traders. Ships, like the one shown in the photograph at the right, sailed from the United States to Alta California during this time.